I wanted to share that Exodus 32:32 verse that I was led to from when I Googled a word that I was given. Well, two words. In, in that in between phase of like when you've woken up but you just haven't gotten out of bed yet and you're still processing your dream and coming fully back into your body from dreaming and all that. So, but I heard, and I shared this in the last video. Sorry, it's kind of late. I'm tired, but I need to get this out. I mean, it's not late, but it's for me because, yeah, I've been up since early and being a mom all day. I was told God's cabinet, I believe it was something, and I'm like, no, it wasn't council, it wasn't court, it was like I think it was cabinet, and just the visuals that I was getting, I saw like a wooden cupboard, and so I was like, okay, I think it's cabinet. Went back to sleep. I mean, not really asleep, but kind of, it's warm and cozy in bed. You don't want to get out. And then I heard, when I woke back up, I heard God's registry or register. I was kind of seeing like a ledger, like, because I kind of heard like Heath Ledger. I'm like, ledger, okay, so I kind of saw like a book ledger, but then I saw a cash register, so I'm like, okay, it could have been register or registry. So I went with registry, typed in God's registry, capital G, apostrophe S, space, and registry. And yeah, I used Google. There's I just saw a video today about there's a pastor out here on YouTube that I watch frequently, and he was suggesting using different search engines, of course. I mean, yeah, because Google. But anyway, I'll post the link to that video below. I just shared it recently. It might have been the most recent one I just shared. I'm not sure. In like all the playlists that I have on my channel. I think they're set to public. I don't know. It keeps going back and forth. So anyway, yeah, because I have the same issues with Google. I'll type in something and it'll just give like the most random, and you'll type in something that you think is obvious and it won't fill in the blank. Anyway, this pastor, I don't know what exactly he would go by, but I believe Christians are pastors. I don't know. Whatever. This beautiful brother in Christ. Okay, so I'll post that link below, and it's just interesting, just, for people who like to do research and don't like to sift through a bunch of nonsense that what Google's doing. So he goes with Bing. Anyway, Bing, and then there's another one. But anyway, I'll post that, and so I get... I just Googled because I haven't set that up yet. But anyway, 3232, just because I'm a numbers gal, and God knows that, I guess. So, and he made me that way. So that's what drew my attention. So I just figured, and also because that's the way it's. Thank you, angels. That's the way they always like to remind me, like, the little details. That's the way it is in the Hebrew. And in the regular, King James, it's like God's book of life. So, but in the Hebrew Bible, it said, according to this link I went to, it says God's registry. So, no, I know Exodus is way in the front by like Genesis, so let's just go. I'm tired and rambling and ting. So, Exodus 32:32. Oh, it said 32:32 and verse 33 as well, but and this is on page 99. I'm seeing a lot of 99s and 999s on license plates and just everywhere. Lots of nines lately. Okay, here we are. So Exodus 32:32. Yet now, if you will if you will forgive their sin, but if not, I pray, blot me out of your book, capital Y, which you, capital Y, have written. Okay, there's that word, written. So if we back up a little bit, what they're talking about is Moses, so he returns to the Lord saying, oh, the people have committed a great sin. They've made themselves a golden calf, an idol. Okay, so they're talking about the golden calf, the idol, which Aaron had made, I believe. And so Moses says, forgive them or blot me out of your book. And I believe that's my interpretation of that. So, and then 33 goes on to say, and the Lord said to Moses, whoever has sinned against me, capital M, I will blot him out of my book. My, capital M. Okay, so whosoever has sinned against me, I will blot him out of my book. So, meaning sinned against me, capital M, my book, capital. Okay, so God in his book is like beyond the Bible, beyond the commandments, beyond the everything, beyond the, so false, I mean, because it's like you have to believe to receive. How are you going to receive my God's glory, our God's glory, the Most High? Okay, how are you going to receive it if you're worshiping a false idol? Now, it can be whatever. A golden calf is arbitrary. You could worship food, you could worship sex, you could worship yourself, you could so there's money, so there's all kinds of things that we think we're putting God first, but are we really, if we're not following the commandments? First of all, if we're not following God's laws, we're not obeying the commandments, then what are we doing? We're not putting God first. If we're not putting God first, then what are we doing? We're engaging in idolatry. Okay? So, because it's like this lukewarm thing and riding the fence, thinking you can have your cake and eat it too, and think, oh, you're a man or a woman of God, but yet how are you putting God first in your life? Examine yourself, examine your life. How are you putting God first? If you're not putting God first by trying to strictly adhere to his laws and commandments, then you're putting something else first. And that's the place that God holds, is first place in your life. Now, you have to knock God off of his first place pedestal, okay? If you're not putting God there, you're putting something else there. Okay, so This is not the time to be riding the fence, being lukewarm, still engaging in things that we know God has been telling us to not engage in anymore. Because, it's like the old adage of like moms of like, I brought you in, I can take you out. Well, yeah, it's like, this is God's book. Everything belongs to God. He put your name in there, he can blot it out. If he sees that you're engaging in false idol worship, it doesn't matter what you think, if you think it is or not. He knows. It goes by his criteria, his standard of measurement, not your 3D way of thinking or what, this. So this, the things that we're sowing, we shall reap, right? So we have to be very careful that we are not worshiping false idols, because we can be blotted out of that book, okay, which is our guarantee in heaven, as long as it stays in the book, okay? God can take it out at any time. He can burn up the whole book if he wants to. He doesn't need to leave one single soul. If he doesn't want to, he created everything. He can destroy it all. I don't know where people get these ideas that even if the Bible says, well, the Bible definitely clearly says this, and it's confirmed with dreams and gematria and all this, and God can just throw the whole book away and burn it all up if he wants to. We can't put limitations on God. That's vanity, and that's okay. So we'll get into that in the next one, because that'll be all for itself. But that's the random pull that I did Friday, and the God's Registry. Those words were given to me. I don't know, a few days ago. So right around the same time. But So. So let's just see, let's read Exodus 32:34. Now therefore go, lead the people to the place of which I have spoken to you. Behold, my angel, capital A and capital M, but that starts the sentence. So my angel shall go before you. Nevertheless, in the day when I visit for punishment, I will visit punishment upon them for their sin. 35 goes on to say, so the Lord plagued the people because of what they did with the calf which Aaron made. This is the New King James Version. I need to get a bigger print. Traditional KJV 1611, whatever. Everybody, I know I have that. It's from the Dollar Tree, though, and the print's very fine in my eyes. So yeah, I need to get going on that. But yeah, because I do like to. I really want to just wait till I am with God and can just learn directly from, and then know that nothing, that it's you're just getting all of it straight from the horse's mouth, and there's no deception, nothing's left out, nothing's interpreted as not divinely whatever. That's why people think that Enoch should rightly have been left out of the Bible, because it wasn't divinely inspired. And who said? Okay, people just throw stuff around so loosely, but they don't back it up with anything. It's just like, and even says, I mean, God has his clause, CLAUSE, like a business clause, like in a contract. Basically, that's his clause right there. Is that if I see you worshiping a false, okay, so you're putting money first, so let money be your God. Okay, so all these other things that basically is, what that is. When you worship money, you know who your master is, but maybe they don't. But it's to the point where you're in the book or you're not at this point. But just because you're in the book doesn't mean you can't be blotted out if you're guilty of the sin of idolatry. So if you're worshiping beautiful young women and you can't help yourself but look at them, comment about them, whatever. Okay, if you can't stop, so you're idolizing women and sex or whatever, you know, if you can't stop, man, I remember seeing this documentary and this is before they even had like internet or the computers were like F7 function, this, that. I mean, you didn't have, before mouses and all that. Okay, so you saw things from like documentaries and like TV and stuff. But they were interviewing, it was like this thing about smoking cigarettes and lung cancer, and this one woman just sickly, right? Cancer, right? Lung cancer. Skinny, no hair, just frail, very sick, okay? Death. She looked like what death looks like someone in a concentration camp, okay? And they had a room in this hospital where these people could go smoke because even they're on machines and they've had surgeries and they're on their deathbed and they still can't give up smoking. So they have this room in the hospital where these people can just go sit in there and smoke. And I mean, I'm sure it was before they like outlawed smoking and this and that, but it wasn't even about that. It was just the hopelessness, you know. When you know God, that's there is no other. Okay, so when you put God first, it's just a natural progression of you putting His laws first, His commandments first. You treat your body like a temple. You're impeccable with your word. Okay, the benediction, you don't judge. You have mercy. You have love. You know, some people just want to harp on the my job is to call out false prophets. I know, what about the rest of the Bible? It's like, I know a lot of people talk about, I don't like to throw around jargon and terms because, but they hyper grace and once saved, always saved and all that. But I mean, it says right here. So you need to examine what you're doing. Are you engaging in idolatry, worshiping false images? Okay, so and like I said, it may not be what you think, and we'll cover what I mean by that when we go into the Ecclesiastes 8 is. I loved it because it was random, but it touched on, it went over a lot of things that I just touched on in a couple different videos. So, it was, I think you're going off on tangents, and then it was like, okay, just talked about that. Oh yeah. Okay, proof that, yeah, being in your heart space. Okay, cool, yeah. So that'll be, I'll leave that one all for itself for the next, video, just to break it up. So I think I talked about all I wanted to talk about with that. So God gave me that word, and that's how it's said in the Hebrew is registry, not book of life. So He likes to give me things in the Hebrew now, so I don't know. We'll see what December 11th brings. I think we'll leave that there. I think we're good. The discernment with what idolatry is, you might want to research that. Research it. because it might not be what you think. So, but that was also just kind of telling me, a lot of people relate the golden calf with New York and Wall Street and, all that over there. So, yeah, make sure that God is your God and not money or food or pleasure, sex, your husband, your pastor. God comes first, okay? And then yourself, and then everyone else. And people want to say, oh, that's just the way it is, because God's your core and it radiates outward. Where does it go after God? It goes to you, and then it extends outward. What's the next closest thing to you? Your husband, or your children, depending on your situation, whatever. Okay, and then from there, that's just the natural progression of things. So, just like when we follow God's laws and commandments, the natural progression is we are not going to be fornicating. We're not going to be watching pornography. We're not going to be doing the thing, engaging in adulterous activity, just things that, and that can be things that doesn't mean you have to be having intercourse and fornicating, adultery would be having intercourse with someone. Fornication, I guess, is when you're unmarried, whatever. But, so, if you're doing things that you wouldn't share with your wife, okay? Like maybe you flirted a little overly with the checker at the grocery store, okay, and you feel guilty about that. These are forms of adulterous activity, okay? There's different degrees, just like murder, okay? First degree, second degree, okay? So just the devil will pull you down lower. We'll see how far you get. Oh, first it'll start with that, checking out people and flirting with them and doing a little bit and then you get their phone number, and then maybe you go have a glass of wine with them, and then so it spirals downward, because there's a natural progression with the devil too. Satan has he pulls you down. How low can you go? That's his motto, so if it can get you to engage in that, then animals, and we don't have any self-control. We can't exhibit self-control and restraint, and be led by the Spirit. We need to be doing that, not blindly led by the flesh, whatever it is. Money, food, sex, okay? On and on and on. But, so, I love you all. I'm going to leave it there. It's about 20, okay, so, yeah, let's keep it kind of around the 20-ish minutes-ish, 20-ish minutes. Yeah, so peace be upon you all, and blessings to each and every one of you. I love you all.